drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll lock 'em. Up 'em, up 'em. If he reach, then I'll pop 'em. Street sweeper, I'll wash 'em. Homicide, come and chalk 'em. Drop 'em, drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll lock 'em. Up 'em, up 'em.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is Frank Martin a threat to the top fighters at 135? Yesterday, he beat Michel Rivera. Many of you may know him as the fighter who looks like Muhammad Ali. He has his hair like Muhammad Ali. He wears trunks that say Ali. He looks more like Muhammad Ali than Nico Walsh.
Grandson of goats.
Watch your mouth, G. See, everyone who want to understand why I get into it with G, is moments like this why I get into it with G. Watch your mouth, G. Anyways, yeah, so he was fighting Michel Rivera, and Frank Martin won a one-sided unanimous decision. I'm gonna turn over to you, Trill Dollar Bill. What was your reaction to the fight, and do you think that Frank Martin's a threat to the top fighters like Gervonta, Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko, Ryan Garcia, just to name a few?
I mean, you can throw him in the mix. You can throw him in the mix with these guys and see what happens. The fight with Rivera, I think it was a little bit cocky. Rivera thought that, he was the man. It was he said that Frank Martin was the one that had the show, and he did show. I think he put him down. Forgot the round, he put him down, but he showed that he belonged. Earl, they got somebody. Hopefully, they move him right. By the time these guys are going to be out of that 135 division going into 140, so he can be the next guy in that division. But I don't know. Why not?
That sounds like you ain't really too sold, man.
I mean, listen, I said, why rush anything? Why rush anything? These guys, they got other plans. If they're going to be there for another year or two, then sure. But I don't see that these guys still being there and campaigning at this weight. I think Devin's going to be off, and, these other guys, I just don't see it. But shout out to Earl. You got a kid there. You got a kid there, him and Derrick James. I got somebody. I got something there y'all can work with. It could be the future. You don't have to rush. Everything is just rushing now. You get these kids be having like 10 victories and with a couple stoppers. They all talk about, oh, he's contender for a title shot next. You know what I'm saying? No, it's all right. For a kid to get in there and get some rounds in, some more rounds, some more experience, to get some tougher other guys before you throw them in the fire and damage what you could have, worked on, So, hey, why not? But I like him.
All right, Conspiracy.
All right, I'll say this: that yeah, he looked good. However, I think Rivera, and I'll say this: Rivera was a pretty good prospect. I like Rivera, right? But Rivera looked like he had real difficulty fighting a southpaw. Like, it was like he was really, really struggling. And Martin seemed faster than Rivera. But this is why I feel like I'm kind of like Trill. I need to see more because, he relied too much on the jab, punch to the body throughout the fight. And I'm like, how come Rivera didn't make any adjustments to prevent that from happening? That was literally his entire game plan. Jab to the head, throw to the body. If Rivera comes, counter with a hook, and it he usually threw like a 2-piece hook. And it seemed like it was just these two combos that he was throwing the entire night. And I'm like, come on, the best in the division are going to see that, make adjustments, and then he's going to have to adjust, But I think for his frame, he's good at 135 for his size. I just think he needs more experience. So for the top fighters at 135, I don't know, man. Listen, I don't see him beating Loma. I don't see him beating Tank. I don't see him beating Devin. Maybe Ryan. Maybe Ryan. You know, who else? Yeah, the top people at 135. I'm trying to think, is there any other top guys that I didn't mention at 135?
I mean, there's some guys like Comey.
Yeah, you know what? I would like to see him though go up against Rolly. You know, I think that would be a good fight. You know, just to see how Martin will hold up against a guy who's also physically imposing. Nah, you know what I mean? Like Rolly's physically imposing in the ring. So I just want to see like how those two styles look like they'll complement each other and be like a great fight, you know. But when it comes to like those who are like really like
Rolly fighting Earl Spence, man.
Hey, but like those who are really like masterful in the ring that utilize angles and everything and who have like sharp jabs, like I don't see him beating a Devin Haney. You know, like Rivera just wasn't fast enough, and you know Frank was just using his physical strength and was bullying homeboy. You know, and you could probably do that with a lot of these guys who are prospects, but guys that are more seasoned, they're gonna realize, okay, you're like a bull. I'm gonna be the matador and just use different angles and then just sharp jabs and what you're gonna do. So I need to see more from him. I just don't see him beating the top guys. And this kind of almost reminds me of that segment that we did with Big Baby Anderson. Same thing. Like Big Baby Anderson, yeah, you talented, but when it comes to the top guys of the heavyweight division, not yet.
TBE.
All right. I'm gonna quote the famous JayZ when I say this. Every day a star is born, you know. But Frank Martin, I don't know, man. I don't know.
So what JayZ saying that? What JayZ saying that?
Every day a star is born, you know. But
G's face.
Fix your face, G.
Yo, that's crazy. You laugh that hard, yo.
Yo, man, you know when you hit them notes, yo, you gotta be ready. My vocals was
Yo,
ready.
we gotta get you in that stoop, TV.
Yeah, we gotta get him in the booth. Getting that in the booth.
Actually, I'm gonna change the world, man.
Booth.
I'm gonna change the world.
Say that again, TBE killed that, man.
Thank you. Encore?
One more time. Go ahead.
Every day a star is born. Yeah. But
that's the new intro for the Boxing Bros. Is right there. Every day. Right there.
You nice with a TBE.
Thank you.
For people to unsubscribe now, that's crazy.
Hey, if they don't unsubscribe,
if he's willing, he's determined. Nah, come on. If he's willing, he's determined to be like, you know, he has the dog in him. I could see him taking off a couple of heads in the top 10, but there's killers at 135. There's a bunch.
Time out. Did you watch the fight?
I said I didn't watch the fight, but I'm just speaking on him. If he has a dog in him, if he's determined, he got the grit.
You a Frank Martin hater. No, sir, go ahead.
Come on now, G. I just want, I want to believe in the kid. I want something to root for, yo. So if there's somebody in there that's sniffing and he wants his chance, Frank Martin, go get your chance, man. If you put the time in, you got the hours in the gym, you really focused on your craft, then there's no way possible that you can't beat any of these guys. But these guys are some killers out here, and you gotta be a killer yourself. And that's all I'm gonna say, yo. But if Frank Martin's that dope, then you know what it is.
This question ain't even addressed to you, Ned. It's addressed to all of y'all, actually. Do y'all believe that we should still build fighters? Like, yeah, we understand that there's prospects that are extremely talented, but should we actually fast forward them and rush their careers to the top?
No,
I'm not sure that's advantageous to their career.
All right, I wouldn't say this. I don't feel we should fast forward fighters. I feel like we should really, if they're really talented and they have the gift and they really want to be in boxing, then you should mold them into the fighter they should be. not the fighter you want them to be. You get what I'm saying? You can't just say, all right, you got 3-4 fights in, and now you gotta go fight the best. Nah, if you really want that box, if that box is special and you feel it, make sure you train him to where he needs to be. And then when the times come for him to shine, he's gonna shine. Like that's it. That's point blank, period. If somebody has the talent, if somebody has the skill, like for instance, I know people, a lot of people don't jumped off the AJ train at this point. But yeah, the man lost. The man's not perfect. But the man shows you he wants to box and he wants to be in boxing, and you got to appreciate that. You got to appreciate somebody who wants to be a part of the sport. Somebody wants to do like like for instance, Kobe Bryant. It's like his teammates, he would encourage his teammates to spend extra hours in the gym and when they didn't want to. And Kobe Bryant must do everything he has to in the gym after hours. So if you have a fighter who's willing and wants to learn the sport and they're dedicated, I think, yeah, build upon that. You see those traits, you see those characteristics in that fighter, build upon that, show them the ways. But if there's a fighter that's just like, I'm just here to get paid. I got the power to punch somebody. I could just punch. I got a right hand. Like, I was at Red Lobster and now I got a right hand. Like, it's cool, yo. Like, do you get your money? I'm not gonna hate on you. But if you really want to learn the sport of getting hit and not hitting and not getting hit, then it's beautiful to see a boxer grow and become something masterful. Like you'd be like, yo, he's a legend. But beyond that, I really don't care for it. If you just
Prospect is a legend, all right.
What?
To answer your question, G, I don't know what the answer to your question, G. It depends on the fight. Right? I think that some fighters, like, they still need to be developed and brought along, because some can be stars later on, and some didn't have the experience, like amateur experience, and some even got other experience, like being in the World Series of boxing, where that is a
tournament style,
professional, amateurish, and it's different. Where you got your some experience there, so it depends on your level of experience before you turn professional. Where it depends on like for even, and it still could be a little too much. Look what happened when they did to Lomachenko. They tried to rush him right out there. He wasn't prepared for the
acclimated. Yeah, he wasn't acclimated to like professional boxing. Yeah,
exactly, of the rough tactics of Orlando Salinas. You know what I'm saying? So it always depends. Some fighters can go out there and they can handle it. Some they need to build. It all really depends on the fighter. And it takes time to build a star. Like it takes time for the public to get to know a person, and they see a person putting spectacular fights, and then that person could become a star themselves, and eventually be able to sell pay-per-view. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time to groom and get him the right matches and the spectacular knockouts, and everybody getting to know who he is and be familiar with him, so they can make him into a star. Sometimes that takes time.
Yeah, so for me, I thought Frank Martin looked good. He was fighting the top 10 prospect. They both were top 10 prospects, and he dominated the top 10 prospect, and that's all you can really ask for. Is he ready for the elite fighters? I think he is. I hear what you're saying, Trill, but he's also 27 going on 28. You look at Devin Haney's younger than him. Ryan Garcia is younger than him. Vasily Lomachenko's older than him, but he's probably the only one that's older than him. So as time goes by, I expect those guys to get better. Like you said, even grow into a different weight division. So the time to make this fight for him would be now. If he doesn't fight Gervonta Davis now, he may never get a shot at Gervonta, because who knows if they're going to be in it, how long they're going to be in the same weight class. And I don't think Frank Martin's the type of guy who's going to fill into 147. I just don't see that with him. So I think sometimes you got to make the fights when they're available. I mean, would his chances of winning improve over time? I mean, he, to me, doesn't show any real flaws. I think what's going to be difficult for him is dealing with someone like Devin Haney, who's as athletic as him, who has speed that can match him, but's also longer and taller. someone like Javante Davis, where you can be outboxing him, but all he needs is one punch, and that changes the tide of the entire fight. Go ahead, bro. What are you gonna say?
No, what I also alluded to is like, what does he have to offer?
That's another thing too. Like, why would they want to fight him?
No, you're right. He doesn't necessarily have much to offer. But then again, Tank's fighting. I can't remember the guy's name on the top of my head, but he's the guy who beat Colbert, Garcia. I think it's Hector Garcia, the guy who beat Chris Colbert, and that guy doesn't really have much to offer, but he's dangerous. He's a fighter. So people saying like Tank is a cherry picker or he doesn't fight tough guys. He's fighting a tough guy coming up. And I think Frank Martin, his name in the people he's in camp with, that's going to make him an attractive fight for other people. But I get what you're saying. Like, as far as name recognition, he doesn't really have that. And in terms of should we rush fighters, I get it. It's a really good question that people overlook. I'll give you a reason why. Because I asked this question before. When you look at Alexander Usyk, who's older than Anthony Joshua, but turned pro later and more polished because he spent more time in the amateurs, and then he came from cruiser and he's more polished. Vasily Lomachenko spent more time in the amateurs than guys like Devin and everyone else. And then he ended up turning pro, and his boxing skills a lot better. Is that a better route? But then you got to look at a guy like Devin, who's been a professional since he was 17, and he's been learning on a job. He's been building skills, and I think in the end, people are going to be their skill set and whether or not they can turn pro and make money. It's almost like when kids used to be able to go to the league straight out of high school, right, to the NBA. You had guys who went from high school straight to the league and were able to have an immediate impact. But then you had guys who had to sit a few years and grow into it. Like Kobe wasn't Kobe year one. Kobe needed some time straight out of high school. And Kevin Garnett came out of high school and was decent, but he wasn't that guy straight out. I remember Sebastian Telfair, the great one of the greatest heists ever from going straight from high school to the pros. Sebastian Telfair was never really that good, and you had a lot of dudes who went straight out of high school. But the thing is, Kwame Brown's another example. But do you tell them not to when the financial gain is there? You got Shakur Stevenson's another guy who really didn't spend that much time in the amateur. So I do think your skill set dictates whether or not you can go pro, but also do you generate that buzz? Because look at a guy like Anthony Joshua didn't have much amateur experience, but the buzz he was able to generate was almost like he had to go pro immediately and he had to learn on a job. So when Ned brings up AJ, that is a great example because you're looking at a guy who lost to Usyk, but Usyk been fighting a lot longer. Usyk's a lot more skilled, a lot more experienced, and he did learn from the first fight and he learned from the second fight. It's up to AJ to internalize that though and be like, yo, I'm still learning and I'm getting better and better each time out. But did we rush AJ really? It's something to look at.
I think Eddie did a good job preparing AJ for the likes of like the top dogs now. Like, because he started off fighting UK locals and then moved his way up to world-class fighters. Like I think Eddie did a good job with AJ.
AJ was fighting for titles in the 16th fight. Wilder was like his 32nd, 33rd fight.
But we know why. Wilder had major what's the word I'm looking for? That
technical flaws. I get it.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of technical flaws that he needed to iron out before he could step up.
I get you, but my thing is AJ's flaws may not be technical, but it may be mental. AJ was never really, well, he was buzzed, but like, I just think sometimes to me, AJ looks like a guy who has too much weight and like he's lost himself in it all. But my point is, was he rushed? And would a few more fights before throwing him into coming to America, so to speak? What if it isn't that they rushed him? Say with the fights, but they rushed him into coming to America, or they rushed him into taking on certain challenges that he wasn't ready for. In the end, I think it's a great question. I think you're right, Trill. Maybe perhaps Frank Martin, skill for skill, can't hang with Devin, or it's going to be tough for him to beat Javante. But personally, just based on his age, I think it's now or never for him, because I think those guys are going to get bigger, faster, stronger, and at some point he's not. So I think if he can get one now, he should try to get one now.
He should get that Broly fight.
But if not, I do think he's a hell of a talent, though. He's definitely a hell of a talent, for sure.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services.